I have to say the views and opinions of Randy Pratt do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Kristen Pratt, my family, Master Books, Newly Publishing Group, any of its subsidiaries or investors, just so you know. So. Janetta says, I'm the only one at our church that homeschools. The rest of families that have children there, their kids go to Christian school. Our church has, and most of the parents work there too, and they keep asking me if I plan on homeschooling. Yeah, I get that. The end of the day, it's not, they're not enlightened to be in school, right? Homeschooling is a way of life. It's a privilege. Like you're missing out if you don't homeschool. It's not a sacrifice to spend time with your kids. Some people, I think, probably feel that way, but maybe we don't always do it the right way because we try to school at home as opposed to discipleship and training. I enjoy mentoring my students. Now, I don't always enjoy textbooks. I sometimes enjoy more conversations and experiences and those type of things, and textbooks is a formality of homeschooling. But still, this is like when we deal with people who put pressure on us for homeschooling, it's like I actually feel bad for you. Like you don't understand. You're walking around in the delusion that somebody is actually doing a better job raising your child than you are. And they're getting the benefits of your children's growth. I love being part of watching my children grow. It's exciting that I've had a part in that. And I don't even know where I am. I'm sorry, guys. I went off. I started a rant. I could go all day on that. So, my mother-in-law is so against homeschooling, keeps bringing us about sending Marcus to Christian school at our church. Oh, I love this. Go paint a fence. Tell her to go paint a fence. Right? There's a book called Boundaries. It's a great book to read. It's a don't let it bother you. I mean, that's just, there's going to be friction sometimes. Not every mother-in-law, but sometimes mother-in-laws, they don't know when to stop. And it takes a lot to figure out how to stop. And sometimes you just have a mentality of not really your choice. Here's the fence. Here's a paintbrush. If you can't see it, go paint it. Go paint the fence. If you choose to, and this is what I've always said, is I will stand before the Lord and steward the relationships that I have with my family. And so oftentimes that means I'm going to stand there and say, we had the opportunity to homeschool and disciple our kids in the nurturing and mission of the Lord. And I want to take advantage of that because I felt that that's what the Lord had for our family. So Janetta, if the Lord is calling you to this, Scripture sometimes says that there may be some conflict when other people see that. And it's not always, everybody doesn't have to understand it. But what they tend to do is they tend to impose their insecurity on us. We're making a decision to follow the Lord, and I understand that may be offensive to you, and that may be causing you to be uncomfortable, but feel free to just tell them if they have a question, they're welcome to come talk to me, and I'll explain to them the benefits and the beauty of homeschooling. So, good. All right. Christy has a much better answer. Praying the Lord gives you wisdom as you talked with your mother-in-law. So Christy is much more level-headed in that, and that would be a much more appropriate answer to give people. I'm glad we have mature people in the group. That's helpful. Sarah G, who's in the conversation, can attest that it's not uncommon that I would say something that I wish I could rewind. So. Charity says we are tolerated but not appreciated by our leadership, who is a pro-Christian school. Yeah, church is hard, right? When you have a church, sometimes if it's not a homeschool-centric church, a lot of times you have public school teachers. And teachers are a valuable part of the church. They're usually kind of known in the community. They usually are faithful. They're good at serving in the church. When you have homeschoolers, sometimes there's conflict between, well, homeschooling is actually taking a stance and saying, well, we don't school, or we don't go to the private school in the church. If you're not making it weird, and they're making it weird, it's okay. It's just one of those things where it's just get comfortable in your skin. We homeschool everyone, deal with it. guys, thank you, and God bless you. The work you're doing is invaluable. I can't thank you enough for the sacrifices you're making to raise the next generation. You are game changers. You're the ones who are paying the price right now to continue to pass the torch. What you're doing, you may think nobody sees. And you know what? But people may not. You may see that people are criticizing you and judging you and accusing you wrongly. The Lord sees what's happening today. And you are making an impact on eternity in what you're doing. So don't give up. Don't give up. And even though you feel small and insignificant, sometimes these little game changers, there is a video, the butterfly effect. And the butterfly effect, he does a great job of talking about here are situations that happen, like George Washington Carver and his, all through the life in the early phases. And it's like, was that the most important? Or was this little thing that happened? Some of these incidents happened just a whole lifetime that made one big impact that changed and fed thousands of people. At what point does one of those things become less important? And I think that mindset is so important, because everything you're doing today has impact, right? And you may not know. You don't know what your great-grandmother sacrificed for you to be here. There may have been huge sacrifice. People in our lineage who left home and country and traveled across the world to take up residence in another part of the world and give us opportunities. We don't always know that. We'll know in eternity, but we don't always have insight to those sacrifices. But those were game changers. Today, you are game changers. You are making a difference in the impact of your legacy. As you create legends and leave a legacy, what you're doing matters and it counts. So don't give up. I was always impressed when I studied about the Midwest, and there were people, these blizzards would hit the pioneers. And sometimes when the snow melted, they would find the person like inches from the back door, frozen to death. They gave up at the last minute. And the scripture says, don't give up in well-doing, because in due season we'll reap if we faint not. For my encouragement to you is, take that to heart. What you're doing is a good thing. And the Lord is giving you a cheer and say, don't give up, don't give up. In due season you will reap if you faint not. Now, we've been homeschooling for 30 years, and there have been a lot of times Kristen and I have thought this would be a whole lot easier if the kids were in school. And not really. I'm sorry, that was a lie. It's not true. I never thought it would be easier if the kids were in school. There might have been easier ways of doing it, but never that. Homeschooling was a better way. But anyways, the point is, don't give up. Don't give up. You will see the fruits of this. This is a good thing, and you will see the fruits of it. So, all right, good. Well, God bless you guys, and we'll catch you next week. God bless you.